So we start our first session, and the first talk is by Dr. Malik Hussain, who will talk about food safety challenges and management to develop innovative products from the group. Dr. Malik is an associate professor in innovative food production in Western Sydney University.
First of all, I would like to thank you, the dean and the chair of the session, for introduction and this kind invitation for us to come and share our point of view and some research and our understanding in this important area. And I also thank my collaborator, Professor Shakir Rahman, for his kind invitation and arranging this workshop for us to present here. So the topic I'm going to talk about is about food safety. That's my area. Being a food microbiologist, I do understand how important it is to ensure the food safety of the product when we do any innovation. So, as the chair of the session introduced, I'm associate with the Western Sydney University School of Science. I'm an associate professor in innovative food production. I also have appointment as a professor in food science at University. So what we're going to do here in this first session, I'll go through what's food innovative, why it's important, what are the factors we need to consider, where the trends are taking us, then what sort of food safety challenges we face when we innovate, correct? And then let's look at how we manage our food safety challenges. That's very important. Success of any new food product lies on the quality and safety of the product. That's paramount. And finally, I'll share some of our own research, what we do, what our university is, and a couple of our research projects as well. Yes, so sorry, this is the last year's slide when I went to Guangzhou, China. So the distance is for that one, but this is where our location is. We are located in the Harbour City. That's the biggest city in Australia, Sydney. Professor Shakir Rahman lived there. So that's his city as well. And we are spread out most of the parts of the Sydney. If you see here, we have almost 16 campuses. Our university is very big. And one of the campus where I come from, that's called Hawkesbury campus. I'll briefly introduce you that one as well. So these are the visual images of our main campuses. On the top, that's Hawkesbury campus. That's where I come from. Our food science is located on Hawkesbury campus. We have another campus in Parramatta. That's for the science and business and that sort of degree program and research. We have a Campbelltown campus. That's for medical science, medicines, and all the doctors and pathologists. Well, let's begin with our topic. What's food innovation? What we do in food innovation, what is really food innovation means? It's when we develop and commercialize any new product, services, or any process that will help us to diversify our food supply. We are talking about food innovation. It could be a process. It could be a service. If you see here, before the COVID, Uber Eats was not a big service, correct? And it emerged as a very big business all over the world. So that's an innovation in our food supply. So that's a kind of food innovation in food service. So that sort of example, it could be a service when we talk about food innovation. So why do we need food innovation? What are some other drivers or reasons for the food innovation? First of all, always the consumer is preference, correct? What does the consumer look for? Convenience, a big variety, correct? We don't want to eat every day the same days, correct? We want to have the dates in different products and different farms, correct? That will keep us interesting and it will give us a different experience and flavor, correct? And it's also the innovation is to how we can improve the supply of safe food products, how we can enhance the safety status of our product by bringing better processing methodologies, by introducing better management tools, and also satisfy the desire for meat. we get bored as a human being. We cannot keep eating the same food every day. Okay? So even dates in the same farm will make us bored. So we diversify the product supply to the consumer. It will keep the consumers interested in our product. So most of the companies, when they come and they do any innovation, they consider a number of factors. Some of the important factors what they offer to the consumers is the healthy options. And they claim, okay, by eating this food, you will get blah blah this few health benefits. Or they provide you some additional nutritious benefits or nutritional elements. Or it could be a appealing product, it could be a very fancy packaging. So that can be attractive for the consumer. So, but over the last few years, all this trend has been changed. Now, it's not about accessibility anymore and exciting and unique product. One of the key drivers for any food innovation is sustainability. How sustainable it is. So until 2022, most of the reports or surveys, they suggest that consumers are more interested in the healthy options of new food products. But majority of the reports since 2021 until now, they are indicating that consumers also consider sustainability when they prefer a new food product. For example, this particular report I included in my slides from 2021 to 2022, they shows that interest in sustainable food choices increases 23%. So that's really a very good indicator for us. When we work on any innovative food products, we need to consider how it's going to impact our planet, how it's going to impact our environment, global warming, climate change. Last week we have seen evidence from what happened in Dubai. They have seen huge heavy rains in one day that's equal to more than 6 months or whatsoever they are indicating. So that's how they indicate how we shape up our food production systems and how we innovate, how sustainable it is, how friendly it is to our environment as well. So it's a very simple slide. It shows us what happens during a food product development. It's a raw material or an ingredient here, we transfer into something new or something different, correct? We have dates, simple, correct? Taking out the date bits and taking the main fruit part, converting into a date bar is a new product. So it's a very simple example. So when we talk about any food innovation, it's a transformation of ingredients or raw material in something new. So now question is, what's new? What is considered new in a food product? So generally what we consider a new product is simply one that has never been designed or made before. Does it make sense? It's never been designed, or it could be a simple or new flavor, a new form, a new packaging, it could be a new size and a new cost reduction. If it comes in a 500 gram packaging size, it's expensive. If you bring the same product in 100 gram, it becomes cheaper, so some other people can also afford it. So anything we do around the existing product, that is a food innovation. So, all right. So one thing I really want to highlight where the food innovation is heading. The innovative food products and plant-based products or material has a very strong correlation now. What we see in a food science globally, what's happening is a bioeconomy. We are moving away from plant-based bioeconomy to animal-based bioeconomy to the plant-based bioeconomy. So what does it mean? People are more interested to buy the products that are based on the plant and plant material rather than animal. There are a number of factors. As I said, it's a sustainability factor, climate change, carbon dioxide emissions, and so on. There are many factors why we are shifting our food production system from animal-based food products to plant-based products or ingredients. So this is not a new concept. The first time somebody talked about plant-based food products was back in 1980s. All right, it's almost more than 30 years ago, correct? Now until 2015, it was never taken as a serious ingredient or a serious form of new innovations. And now the reasons for our shift to the plant-based product is around health and climate. And to give you an example, in a supermarket, when we go and look for a new packaged consumer product, between 2018 and 22, there's a 302% increase. You can see how big revolution is. So we are quickly moving toward new products that are based on plant-based. There's a big range of products, but in a broader sense, we classify them into two groups. Plant-based beverages are milk, and meat and dairy analogs. They are products that give you experience like a meat or dairy, but they are not meat and dairy, they are plant-based. I'm not sure how big the market here in Oman is at this stage. But in our supermarket, now we have a dedicated shelves. When you go in a supermarket, you will see a plant-based products. That's where you can find plant-based sausage, you can find plant-based nuggets, you can buy plant-based fish, cheese, whatever you name it. So it's a huge revolution that's over the last 5 to 10 years time. So that's where we are coming now. The date fruit is a plant-based source and highly consumed product in number of countries, including Oman, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, and we know it. Now these are ideal for raw material for any innovative food products, and it offers a number of health benefits as well. So these are few examples what I found on some of the research papers. We can convert them into a date syrup, date paste, date jams, vinegar, fructose production, cane products, bakery, and so on. So why is it important to use the dates as ingredient in our food innovations? A big list of health benefits that companies look for, correct? They want to attract the consumer. What you're eating is a nutritious, it's a healthy option, correct? So date as a whole or as an ingredient in new product will offer a number of health benefits to the consumers, and that's key for any new product development and to attract and make it successful commercially. Now, my topic is why we talk about safety when we talk about innovative foods, why it's need to be considered. So I'm going to talk about in general when we do food innovation, but then at the end of my talk, I will just highlight what sort of food safety measures we need to take when we do any date-based or date food-based food products. A couple of key concepts. What's a human food? What we consider as a human food? It's any nutritious substance that can be used as a food or drink, okay, and that is needed for a healthy and normal growth. One of the important aspects of any food or any ingredient we use for food, it must be safe. If it's not safe, it's not good for us, correct? It's not going to give us healthy life, correct? We may end up in a hospital, and therefore the safety is very important. So then what's the safety? Safety is any practice or anything we do when we produce a food, we process a food, we package a food to ensure it's not contaminated. Right? So what's contamination? Then it's come to the food hazard. So if food can have some of the foreign elements that could harm the health of the consumer, that's a food safety hazard. So it's very, food should be safe. Anything we do to protect the food getting contaminated from the food safety hazard, it's a food safety practice. So this is an overarching approach. So we need to understand what's a food safety hazards. That's what we want to protect. They should not go into our food, correct? So in a broader sense, we classify them into three major groups. It could be a biological in nature, like a microorganism, a pathogen, a bacteria that can make us sick. That's a biological food safety hazard. It could be a chemical, like a pesticide, like insecticide we use to produce the food that went into our food in excessive amounts. That can harm the health of a consumer, and it could be a physical hazard. So this is what we need to understand. What will make the food unsafe? Any of these hazards, if they get it into the food and they can harm the health of the consumer, food gets unsafe. So what we want to see for any food we produce for human consumption, number one, free from microbial contaminations, right? Number two, it should not have any insects or rodent or that can cross-contaminate or bring some of the infectious agent into the food. It should be free from any chemicals and pesticides that are used during the production. It should not have any physical hazard like foreign material that could harm the consumer. So there's a number of ways these hazard contaminants go into the food, either through the people are working with the food, method we use, it may be not appropriate, equipment, raw material is not a good quality or contaminated, or the environment, the factory, the place we produce food. These could contaminate our foods. So this is a list of the possibilities with contaminants can get it into our food when we produce the date fruits. So it's two stages, either the food or contamination can occur at pre-harvest stage or it could occur at post-harvest stage. So whatever it is, if it gets contaminated with some of these possible microbial pathogens, what will happen? This will become unsafe. So contamination of any of those hazards at any stage of production or processing or packaging, what will make the food unsafe. So when a food becomes unsafe, it will contain either harmful bacteria, that's what we discussed, viruses, chemicals, or any of the foreign materials. What happens if some of the people will get to eat these unsafe foods or contaminated foods? It will make them sick. Almost more than 200 diseases are associated with the unsafe or contaminated foods, and it can lead to the food poisoning, and in severe cases it can lead to the death if it's some of the very dangerous microorganisms such as Listeria or Salmonella. So what we need to do here, we need to develop a food safety system and control mechanism. For what? Not getting our food contaminated or becoming unsafe. So when people will eat the food, they will have no bad impact on your health, then food is safe. Otherwise, how we will know that our food supply, our foods are unsafe? If we have higher number of foodborne illnesses, we have high number of people going into hospital because eating of the contaminated foods, or there's a deaths about eating consumption of contaminated food, indicate bad food safety system. So when we talk about novel and innovative foods, now we are talking about a food or a form of a food which was never consumed before. This is a very simple definition from Wikipedia. However, all of these regulators, I put it here like European Food Safety Authority, FDA, or FSIANS, they have their own definitions of novel foods or new food products. If it comes as a novel food product, I'm not going to read all of those definitions, but all of those definitions in a real sense talk about a food that have never been consumed in that society for before a particular time. Like in Europe, they consider anything that was not consumed before 1997, 15th of May. And if you introduce that food into the supply chain in Europe, it becomes a novel food. So when it's become a novel food, you need to go through a food safety risk assessment. So this is very common with all of these agencies in Canada, in Europe, in Singapore, in Australia. So all what we describe it, novel foods are new foods. What is the most important thing for any new food development? We need to do a risk assessment to protect the public health and having all the safety consideration. That's the key of any food innovation project. So in Australia, but we have one system. We have a special committee that look after all the new food product development and looking at whether does it need a risk assessment or not. If it's need a risk assessment, it will go through a specific process. So new product, you need to consider safety assessment is very important at 2 stages. When you are developing the product, you need to understand what are the regulatory requirements. Are you considering all the, when you develop a product, at the end of the day, if you say, no, it does not meet a specific specification by a food authority or by the government, your product is failed. You cannot sell because it does not meet the regulatory requirement. So when we are developing a new product, number one, we need to consider all the regulatory requirements as well as we conduct the risk assessment of the ingredient. Once it goes to the commercial processing stage, we need to design the program to avoid the contamination with those hazards and have an ongoing food safety management systems. So in Australia, we use number of regulatory measures at a government level, at international level, and at the local municipality level as well. So one of the important aspects to ensure the safety of a new product is doing the risk assessment. And this is a universal system, a way of looking at the risk analysis approach developed by the Codex. I'm sure that all food science people, they are aware of this approach. So when it comes to the production,
1 minute.
yes, just I'm quick. So there are some food safety management requirements under the regulations that's enforced by some food agencies or some other commercial standard. These are some of them are listed. So one of the most important commercial standard that the food industrial companies use is called HACCP. It's a food safety management system. It's based on number of principles that's listed here. So what essentially we are trying to do here, we are trying to control those hazards getting into the food, not making it unsafe for the consumer to eat. So, for example, in terms of the date food production, it's very important right at the production stage. We ensure the quality of water we use, we ensure the manure we supply, we ensure the way it's harvested. All those practices should follow the what we call the good agriculture practices. Right? Yes. And at manufacturing level, we need to have a minimum hygiene standard. That's called good manufacturing practices. So once you have these two requirements met, then it's looking at what are the hazards when you are producing a particular new product. If you change a processing step, you need to consider is there any microbiological hazard can get into the food, or physical or chemical hazard at any stage of production. We need to identify if we think there's a real possibility of a hazard getting into the food. That is a challenge and we need to manage, and we call it critical control point. And that's very important for any food safety management. So these are in summary, we need to manage the food safety of any new product at the production stage, and when it goes in a real production, we need to also look at any possibility of those control measures. All right, I leave my initial introduction here. So I'm sorry that it took a long time. So that's what I really want to talk about, how it's important when we do any innovative food product, considering all aspects of food safety, either it's a government requirements, or it's a regulatory aspects, or it's thinking about how we will produce and how we control and ensure the safety of products when it reaches to the consumer. Thank you.